Good morning, everyone. We'll call the regular council meeting of Tuesday, April 23rd to order. To begin with, I'd like to proceed with the land recognition. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Blackfoot and the people of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. The city of Cheshire is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. Prior to starting, I'd like to recognize Councillor Narayan for being in the meeting. Thank you for joining us. I'd also like to recognize former Mayor Chalmers. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. We'll call the meeting to order. Mr. Vincent, changes to the agenda, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Official Administrator. We'd like to note item 5.3, the Combative Sports Commission appointments. There have been some changes to the recommendations of the original report that was published. Those that change in report was circulated to the official administrator and to myself, and we'll speak to those changes when the matter appears on the agenda. Secondly, for the information, Mr. Official Administrator, under item 6.1, I received this morning the regrets from the Western Irrigation District. Both their chair and their general manager are unable to attend. However, we will speak to the letter that was sent, and I have some additional new information to add to that. And item 8.2 will be tied to the public hearing 5.2, which we'll ask to be withdrawn once that public hearing is opened. Those are all the changes that I have for to submit, Mr. Official Administrator. Thank you.
Mr. Vincent, were we not going to add a lease to the agenda for approval?
Beg your pardon, sir?
A lease, 10.2. I think Sandy has a lease that needs to get approval.
Synergy lease.
Oh, okay. Yes, I'm sorry. 10.2, Synergy lease agreement.
With that, I'll approve that the official administrator accept the April 23rd regular council meeting agenda as amended. So moved. All in favor? Carried. We'll proceed with the approval of the minutes. 3.1. Move that the official administrator approve the April 9th, 2024 regular council meeting minutes as presented. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator approve the January 25th, 2024 Police Communication Committee meetings minutes as presented. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator approve the February 15th, 2024 Police Communication Committee minutes as presented. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Correspondence. We have a letter from the Minister of Public Safety regarding our request for additional RCMP. If we could have the motion, please. Move that the official administrator accept the correspondence from the Honourable Minister of Public Safety, Democratic Institutions and Intergovernmental Affairs for information. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to public hearings. I'll move that the official administrator open the public hearing for Bylaw 00924 being the off-site levy amending bylaw at 9:01. Good morning.
Good morning, official administrator. Sure, this is on. Morning. My name is Madeline Fisk. I am the Growth and Development Coordinator here at the City of Cheshire in the Community Growth and Infrastructure Department. I am joined today by Mark Rawal, our Senior Engineer. I am here today to present the Offsite Levy Bylaw 009-24 in preparation for the public hearing and for second and third reading today. This will be a brief agenda prior to the public hearing. We'll just briefly touch on the resolutions that were made in the last council meeting, April 9th, 2024, go through the motion request for today, changes in the bylaw from last year, the engagement process that we've had with the development industry and the proposed rates for 2024, and then lastly, open up for recommendations and questions. The resolutions from April 9th, 2024 council meeting, motion 240409-09, motion that official administrator give first reading to bylaw number 009-24 being the offsite levy bylaw as presented, and motion 240409-10, motion that official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for bylaw 009-24 for April 23rd, 2024. After the first reading, the public notice was posted to the City of Chestermere website for a 14-day duration from April 9th to April 23rd, 2024. In addition to being posted on the website, the bylaw has been circulated to the development community and was presented in an engagement meeting about 3 weeks ago. We have received some feedback from external stakeholders, and based on the feedback we've received, we will be requesting the following motions today. Motions that council give second reading to the bylaw 009-24 being the offsite levy bylaw as presented, with summary by development area shown in Schedule B of bylaw be replaced with Table 2B. And that council give third reading to bylaw 009-24 being the offsite levy bylaw as presented, with summary by development area shown in Schedule B of bylaw be replaced with Table B2. So the summary by development area, as mentioned in those motions, is shown here on screen. It is the table that shows the different rates within the City of Chestermere based on the area that they are in. As you can see in this table, the City of Chestermere has 6 different categories for offsite levies. These categories include water, sanitary, storm, transportation, recreation, and fire. As mentioned, the areas are split, or the City of Chestermere is split into 20 different parcels, and each one of these parcels have their offsite levy rates depending where they are located for the sanitary and storm levies. The changes in the bylaw from last year, 2023 offsite levy bylaw, to this year are shown on the screen here. The weighted average increase from last year is 9.6% from the 2023 bylaw. I did highlight in red the transportation. This one was the largest increase this year, and as mentioned before, this increase was due to the transportation master plan that was released at the end of 2023, and so all the projects within that category were updated to reflect the project costs released in that report. Part of the offsite levy process, it's really significant for us to have engagement with the development industry because ultimately they are the ones paying this levy. We have received some feedback from them regarding this 9.6% increase, and the 2 main points they brought forward are shown on this presentation. The first is a concern around the significant yearly cost increase of the offsite levy rates. It is important for us to keep in mind and for the city to be aware of when adding certain projects to the offsite levy buckets. And this is also important for us why we do update the offsite levy bylaw on an annual basis to make sure that these are as accurate as possible. The developers are in general agreement with the model, and the developers paying their fair share of the offsite levies. The point 2 here that the industry has brought forward is the possibility of reducing the transportation levy increase by 50% because this was the largest increase we saw. This point was brought forward because in 2022, the City of Chestermere Council approved a 50% reduction to an increase in the storm offsite levy. The storm increased almost double from the previous year in 2021, and after collaboration with the industry, that's when City Council approved the 50% reduction to implement those costs over, or to phase in those costs over multiple years. With that, the development community and the administration were able to find some cost-effective solutions in bringing that overall cost estimates down. So to touch on this a little further, the option of the 50% reduction to the transportation levy rate increase, we as administration have looked into the implications of what this would entail. We have taken this into consideration and understand that the 50% reduction would mean would give them more time to phase in this cost over 2 years instead of the 1, and would enable the developers to engage their experts to revisit those cost estimates and see if they could find any cost-effective solutions. As we've investigated this possibility, I'd like to show here the top table is the offsite levy rates as presented, the bylaw 009-24, and the table underneath would be the rates with that 50% reduction in the increase in transportation. So originally the increase for transportation was a 30.6% increase from last year. If there was a 50% reduction on the increase, that would reduce it to 15.28%. Overall, that would reduce the total weighted average increase from last year to this year from 9.6% to 5.56%. And the summary for the 2024 rates with the 50% reduction in transportation, originally it would go from $120,000 in transportation to $106,000 per hectare. Overall, a reduction of around $14,000 per hectare in transportation. The potential benefits and risks. When considering the rates in general, we'd like to note just the risks and benefits. You can see that with reduced offsite levies, it encourages growth. It allows the developers room to recalculate and propose different cost estimates. It is fair to both current and future developers, and I would like to note that the model is designed to account for any money undercollected or overcollected within a 25-year period. The goal is to have the zero sum gain. So regardless of the reduction, that will be made up for if there are no cost-effective solutions made. In total this year, with the 50% reduction in transportation, there is the chance that we would undercollect approximately $600,000 plus or minus 50%, and that would then go to future development, that cost. But again, within that 25-year period, we would collect exactly what would be necessary to fund the offsite levy projects within the city of Chestermere. Before the public hearing, I would like to open up if the official administrator, had any further questions.
Yes, Madeline, you talked about a 50% reduction. You're talking about a 50% reduction in the proposed increase, not in the levy itself, just to be clear for the public.
Correct, yes. Thank you for clarifying.
And the one risk factor you mentioned in that pushes the costs off to the residents, to the taxpayers in town. Because if the transportation is not covered by the off-site levy, it's covered by the residents.
Sorry.
Speak to that, please.
Yeah, so that would be incorrect. The cost that would not be funded currently would be funded by future developers. The cost would not be pushed onto the residents. So the offsite levy model would account for that next year, would simply increase the offsite levy rates next year.
Okay, thank you. I want to make that clear for the public that this is not a cost to the taxpayer.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, we'll open it up for presentations. Thank you, Madeline, for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Calling the first time, anyone wish to speak in favor of the off-site levy bylaw amendments? Calling a second time, does anyone wish to speak in favor of the off-site levy bylaw? Calling a third time, does anyone wish to speak in favor of the off-site levy bylaw amendments? Morning.
Morning. My name is Brady Morris. I'm with Anthem Properties. I wasn't planning to speak, but I think it's worth saying a few words. I've chaired the Build Chestermere Committee for a number of years. I've been working very closely with administration for the last 5 years for working with trying to find the right number for the offsite levy. So one thing I do want to say, and I think our letter that Kim Berhiga submitted, is we really appreciate Chestermere's approach to these levies. Other municipalities do not have as transparent, open, or collaborative a process. We don't always agree with the final model output. That's the way it goes. but we always agree with how we got and arrived at the number. And I want to thank administration for all the work they do. It's not easy, particularly times today are better market-wise, but cost-wise, it's a real challenge. We're in a really still in a sticky inflation environment, and it puts pressure on administration and exactly what you were just asking, Mr. Lagore, about, are we allocating the costs properly? Are current developers paying their fair share? Are taxpayers and the existing residents of Chestermere paying their fair share? And are future developers that are going to tie into this infrastructure paying their fair share? And we think it does on behalf of Build. We think it does. There has been a trend of increases, and that's not uncommon in smaller municipalities. Anthem is a company, and I've done work in a number of municipalities, and that's common. You'll have growing municipalities, and they start to add more infrastructure, but you're supposed to hit a critical mass at some point and a growth rate that you can spread these costs evenly. What we're seeing in Chestermere is the trend line is concerning if you were to just take it and forecast it out. But over the last few years, we feel confident. We've dealt with stormwater. This year, transportation's a bit of a challenge. We're concerned going forward that maybe there's something else in the model that could increase it. And at the end of the day, full stop, it then comes down to regional competitiveness. Is what are our other municipalities in the region doing? What are they charging developers? And are we able to provide affordable housing to our residents? And that's the bottom line to us and our industry. Fairness, transparency, and a competitive rate. And I think we're there. But I do want to just state kind of, I guess, on the record that we've got to really be tight on these numbers and these models going forward, because we're edging up there. If you looked 4 or 5 years ago, Chestermere was in the more affordable band. It's creeping up into the, getting up there, getting more expensive. I think there's a great slide in the back of the report that shows that, and it's worth everybody looking at and being mindful of going forward. So that's all I wanted to say. The key point, I wanted to thank administration. It's been a challenge over the last few years working, trying to make this model, allow development to go forward and allow us to bring affordable product on, while making sure that they're protecting the interests of the municipality and the future. So that's all I have to say, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Calling a third and final time. Anyone speaking in favor of the bylaw? Calling a first time. Anyone speaking in opposition to the bylaw? Calling a second time. Anyone speaking in opposition to the bylaw? Calling a third and final time. Anyone speaking in opposition to the bylaw? With that, can I have the motion, please, to close the public hearing?
Apologies. We have one written submission in favor.
Please bring it forward, Kallen.
Good morning, official administrator and the public. This is from Kimber Higa. Dear Mr. Lagore, on behalf of our members at BILD Calgary Region, parentheses BILD, would like to provide this letter for your consideration regarding the offsite levy, parentheses OSL, Bylaw 009-24. BILD would like to thank the administration team for their engagement and the transparency of which the OSL discussions were held. Since October of 2023, we have had the opportunity to provide input to update the development and the growth forecast and provide the information to understand the changes proposed to the OSL rate in Bylaw 009-24. While we agree with the methodology applied to the list of infrastructure projects, we feel additional work is warranted. BILD understands the economic environment we have all been in the past few years. While inflation is largely out of the industry's control, we have growing concerns about the consecutive years of OSL increase in Chestermere over the past 3 years and the resulting loss of regional competitiveness. Through recent discussions with administration, we understand the recommendation going forward regarding the OSL bylaw increases a 50% reduction for the transportation OSL, resulting in the equivalent reduction of the overall OSL rate increase for 2024. BILD agrees and supports on specific transportation line items with the intent of achieving cost savings similar to the work undertaken in 2022 to 2023 on the stormwater OSL. BILD appreciates that the time administration has provided to ensure that the development industry is informed and included in the ongoing discussions around infrastructure investment. We look forward to the continued collaboration and support the recommendation presents regarding OSL Bylaw 009-24. Sincerely, BILD Calgary Region, Kimber Higa.
Thank you, Kallen. If we could have the motion, please, to close the public hearing. I'll move that the official administrator close the public hearing for bylaw 00924 be in the off-site levy amendment bylaw at 9:18 a.m. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And if we could have move that the official administrator open the public hearing for bylaw 01024 be in the off-site levy amending bylaw at 9:18. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Liz, please.
Good morning. Administration recommends that this public hearing not proceed at this time. We have not received and therefore not been able to review a traffic impact assessment at this time. We are anticipating that we will receive it shortly from the applicant. However, in absence of that, administration recommends that this public hearing not proceed. And in addition, there is quite a few public comments and concerns that have been brought up. So considering both items, we recommend that the item be postponed until that TIA has been reviewed and administration can make a recommendation on how to proceed.
Thank you, Liz. Could we have a motion, please, to postpone? And we need to close the public hearing first. Move that the official administrator close the public hearing for bylaw 01024 be in the off-site levy amending bylaw at 9:19 a.m. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
Wrong bylaw was referenced in the motion.
Yes, it is, and it was in the opening of the public hearing, too. It needs to refer to the Good Acres land use amendment. So repeating it, move that the official administrator close the public hearing for bylaw 01024 be in the land use bylaw, Good Acres bylaw at 9:19 a.m. And Kallen will have to correct the opening one as well, please. Thank you, Liz. And we can do that as an editorial. Thank you. And Kallen, you're speaking to...
Mr. Official Administrator, I think you need to call a vote on your motion, please.
Sorry, my apologies. I'll move, call, all in favor? So carried. Thank you.
Good morning, Official Administrator. As the interim CAO, Mr. Vincent alluded to earlier today, there's been some changes to presentation 5.2 regarding the Combative Sports Commission's appointments. The original appointment was not including current Councillor Shannon Dean from the removing of the Combative Sports Commission. In addition, to the appointments, we are including Mr. Chris Suster and Mr. Mike Short. City administration has been contacted by Olympus Chestermere Boxing Club with the hopes of scheduling a combative sporting event in June of 2024. In order for a combative sport event to take place within the jurisdiction of the City of Chestermere, the event coordinators must get approved from the Council of the City of Chestermere, or approved from the City of Chestermere Combative Sports Commission. Due to Ministerial Order 076-23, the City of Chestermere Combative Sports Commission does not meet quorum and therefore cannot approve any event. In addition, Councillor Shannon Dean is also being removed to avoid any potential conflicts of interest, as he is a current treasurer of the Chestermere Olympus Chestermere Boxing Club. The appointment of the official administrator, Mr. Doug Lagore, Councillor Ritesh Narayan, Mr. Chris Suster, and Mr. Mike Short, as well as the automatic appointment of the City Director of Community Operations, Mr. Ken Edney, to the Combative Sports Commission will satisfy Section 5A1 of the bylaw, being the Combative Sports Commission bylaw. Therefore, we recommend two motions today. One, that the official administrator remove Mr. Jeff Colvin, Mr. Stephen Hanley, Mr. Blaine Funk, and Councillor Shannon Dean from the Combative Sports Commission. And the second motion being requested today is the motion that council appoint the following individuals to the Combative Sports Commission. Official Administrator Mr. Doug Lagore, Councillor Ritesh Narayan, Mr. Chris Suster, and Mr. Mike Short, effective immediately.
So proceeding with the first motion, move that the official administrator remove Jeff Colvin, Stephen Hanley, Blaine Flunk, and Councillor Shannon Dean from the Combative Sport Commission. So moved. All in favour? Carried. Move that the official administrator appoint the following individuals to the Combative Sports Commission. Official Administrator Doug Lagore, Councillor Ritesh Narayan, Mr. Chris Schuster, and Mr. Mike Short, effective immediately. So moved. All in favour? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Vincent, you're going to speak to 6.1?
It will be my pleasure, Mr. Official Administrator. Mr. Official Administrator, the City of Chestermere received written correspondence from the Western Irrigation District dated March 27, 2024, and had planned in attending this morning's council meeting to speak to the matter. It'll be my pleasure to review this particular correspondence for those people in the public gallery and for those people who may be watching online. The WID has written to inform us, in accordance with the existing use of works agreement between WID and the City of Chestermere, it is their intent to operate the Chestermere Reservoir, we know it as Chestermere Lake, under drought conditions during the upcoming irrigation season. I can add, Mr. Official Administrator, last Thursday I was part of a town hall conference call with Minister Schultz, Minister McIver, and Minister Sigurdsson, at which time they've indicated their most recent data shows regular snowpack and maybe a little bit higher in some areas. So the forecast is promising. The other thing was mentioned is there's a change in weather patterns from El Nino to La Nina, and the forecast is for cooler, wetter weather, which would be very welcome in this part of the province. As outlined in our use of works agreement, the operating irrigation system level ranges between 1,025.5 and 1,025.6 meters above sea level. However, due to the ongoing drought and warning issued by the Government of Alberta, WID finds it necessary to vary from the operating level per Clause 3 of the variance from operation level of Schedule B of the Use of Works Agreement. Therefore, they are anticipating the water level to fluctuate outside the typical operating range mentioned above. Now, this letter again was issued on March the 27th, and Alberta Environment is monitoring this on a weekly basis, providing updates. And with the more positive outlook, that may certainly change the forecast in terms how it might operate. I would add that WID is planning to start diverting water from the Bow River into Lake Chestermere as of today. Further, WID plans to have the diversion of water completed by May 1st, which is just 7 days away or 8 days away. So it'll be ongoing, and we'll be noticing the rise of water level in the lake almost immediately. They have also committed to regularly and routinely provide the city with updates on the situation, and the city is very definitely aware of and is working with the city of Calgary with regards to the critical water situation and possible water restrictions. The WID goes on to say the decision is not being taken lightly, and we certainly know that, and is made in response to the critical, uncontrolled circumstances imposed by the pending drought and definitely the direction of the province. So it's imperative for WID to ensure that they meet their statutory duties, particularly considering the current situation. They understand the implication that this may have for various stakeholders, including, the lakefront property owners, difficulties in getting their boats into the water if the levels are lower. So all those things are taken into consideration, and we are strong advocates to maintain quality of life for those residents. And they are providing early notification to allow as much time as possible for us and anyone to make adjustments. The assurances is their actions are aimed at ensuring the sustainability of water resources and fulfilling their obligations to the best of their ability for all parties involved. So we certainly appreciate everyone's understanding and cooperation in the matter. And if there is further questions, we'll be directing those to WID, all of which, Mr. Official Administrator, I'm happy to report and ask that we accept this report as information.
Thank you, Mr. Vincent. Could we have the motion, please? Move that the official administrator accept the Western Irrigation District report as information. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Staff Sergeant Clausen's not in attendance, but will still move. I'll move that Council accept the RCMP crime stats date March 2024 as information. So moved. All in favor? And Mr. Vincent, if you could please speak to the Staff Sergeant, and let's have these presented quarterly going forward if we could.
Will do so, sir. Thank you.
And with that, we'll move into presentation of the financial statements. Aaron, are you up or?
Good morning, Mr. Official Administrator. I'm here with Erin to present the financial statement, so I just wanted to introduce her formally to the gallery and to yourself.
Thank you.
You're ready to go. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Erin Gregory. I'm one of the partners with Gregory Harriman and Associates. Our firm completed the audit for the 2023 financial statements for the city. Today I'll be reviewing the highlights of the audit as well as the financial statements with you. So management is responsible for the preparation and presentation of these financial statements in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards, and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. Our objectives as auditors are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. I am pleased to report that we have issued a clean, unqualified audit report, which is detailed on pages 2 and 3 of the financial statements. So we have substantially completed our audit for the year ended December 31st, 2023, pending the completion of the approval of the financial statements by Council and the receipt of the signed documents provided in our final package, which I've brought with me today. We've conducted our audit in accordance with Canadian generally accepted audit standards, and this slide outlines our process. So the first step is scoping. So we review the preliminary information provided by management and develop the audit plan and determine the materiality level for the audit. So using materiality, we can determine the specific financial areas that our work will focus on, defining the scope of our audit work. We then identify and assess risk based on preliminary financial information. And then based on the scoping work and the identification of the areas of higher risk, we complete the audit process, which includes review of working papers provided by management, confirmation of balances from third parties, and through further discussion and reconciliation processes, we gather and document evidence for the financial statement balances. And then our last steps are to form an opinion and report. So this is from the information obtained through the audit process. We are then able to conclude if the financial statements are free from material misstatement. So we reviewed and identified a number of higher risk financial statement areas, including investments, prepaid development credits, tangible capital assets due to 153897 Alberta Limited, deferred revenue and revenue, as well as expenses. Because these items are identified as higher risk, additional audit procedures were completed. In all instances, we determined there was no evidence of material misstatement due to fraud or error. So as previously noted, the final steps of the audit process are to form an opinion and report. This slide shows an excerpt from the independent auditor's report stating the audit opinion. So as previously noted, we've issued a clean audit report, meaning the financial statements are fairly and appropriately presented in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards in all material respects. So I'll now take you through the financial statements at a high level. This slide shows the first part of the statement of the financial position. So the top section shows the financial assets, which are economic resources that the municipality owns or controls that will be used to discharge liabilities. So it's important to note, of the 70 million of investments, 43 million relates to deferred revenue and deposit liabilities and is restricted. There are no other outside restrictions on any of the other financial assets. The other item within financial assets I wanted to mention is the mortgage receivable held within trade accounts receivable line. So there is 77,000 owing from the Chestermere Yacht Club relating to the purchase of land. So no amounts were received in 23, but it's important to note that no amounts are actually due until maturity of 2035. At December 31st, 23, financial assets totaled 161 million. In comparison to 22, this is a $5 million increase. So in the liability section, we can see that the liabilities increased by 8 million to 78 million. So this is mainly due to the increase due to 153897 Alberta Limited as a result of development agreements signed during the year. So overall, the last line of the slide shows that net financial assets totals 83 million. Net financial assets are the difference between the financial assets and the liabilities, and represent the net assets the city has left over to discharge liabilities and fund future operations. So this 83 million of net financial assets is definitely a positive financial indicator. It shows that there's 83 million of assets after liabilities are removed to fund future operations, and this helps to show that the city is in good financial health. The next section of the financial position is the non-financial assets. Non-financial assets don't provide resources to discharge liabilities, but are used to deliver government services, which include items such as infrastructure. The city's non-financial assets are mainly made up of tangible capital assets, or TCA, with a balance of 111 million, and include items such as land, roadways, sidewalks, buildings, vehicles, and equipment. So during the year, additions to TCA totaled 14.7 million, with amortization recognized of 7.5 million. So overall, the accumulated surplus has increased by 8 million to just under 208 million. So this increase is another positive financial indicator. The next slide shows the revenue section from the Statement of Operations. Total revenue at 36.7 million was 3.4 million over the $33 million budget. The main variances relate to sales of goods and user charges, building permits, and investment income. This slide shows the total operating expenses for 23 were 42.1 million, which is 2.5 million over the $39.6 million budget. The largest variances relate to salaries and wages, which was over budget by 2.4 million, mainly due to unbudgeted positions being added during the year and severance pay. So to complete the statement of operations, the next slide shows the last section of the statement. So here we see there's a deficit of revenues over expenses before other items of 5.4 million. So the other section, totaling just over 13 million, includes government transfers for capital, which are grants received and spent on capital projects, developer levies spent on capital projects, contribution of TCA from developers, and subsidiary operations, not including other comprehensive income. Once these items are brought in, the city is left with an excess of revenue over expenses of 7.5 million, which is 1.2 million over the budgeted surplus of 6.3 million. So now if you're just looking at the statement of operations without looking at the rest of the financial statements, it looks like the city budgeted for a $6.3 million surplus. However, this is just due to the differences in the methods used to prepare the financial statements versus how the budget is prepared. The financial statements must follow accounting standards set out by Public Sector Accounting Board, and the budget is more cash-based to ensure the city has enough funds to operate for the year. Which is an acceptable practice. So financial statement note 27 translates the surplus shown on the statement of operations to the budget. So as you can see, the budgeted column comes to zero, which shows the city presented a balanced budget. In the actual column, we see a deficit of 2 million, which is mainly due to the city paying out a $3.2 million loan, a payment that was not budgeted for but approved by council. So the Municipal Government Act requires the debt limit and debt servicing limit be calculated and disclosed annually. The debt limit is calculated at 1.5 times the city's revenue. Debt servicing limit is calculated at 0.25 times revenue. As you can see from the slide, the city is well within these limits with surplus available for potential new financing. The city's capital financing and debt management policy further restricts the debt limit to 75% of the maximum level established by the MGA. The city is also within this internal limit. So it is the city's intention to amalgamate the utility corporation back into the city in the upcoming years. When this happens, the debt held by the utility corporation will come into the city's debt limit calculation. So as at December 31st, 23, there's 24 million of long-term debt in that corporation. So even when this amount is included in the current year calculation, the city will still have unused debt limit capacity. This tells us the city has sufficient debt limit capacity to take on future projects even after the utilities corporations move back into the city. So this slide shows the results for the municipal indicators for the city in 22, which Municipal Affairs calculates annually to measure specific aspects of each municipality's government, finances, and community. These indicators review how the city is doing using various calculations. As well, Municipal Affairs uses these indicators based on their benchmarks to determine if the municipality has any trouble areas. The comparative information on the slide is from 22, as Municipal Affairs have not yet received and released the 23 figures. The red highlighted items indicate that the city has not met the benchmark. So these include ministerial intervention and on-time financial reporting. So the deadline provided for providing the audited financial statements to Municipal Affairs is May 1st. The 22 information wasn't sent until December. So based on the timing of the current audit we are reviewing today, the city will be on side with this benchmark for 23. So aside from the red highlighted items, the city appears to be meeting all the financial benchmarks set for 22. We've calculated these benchmarks for 23 and expect the city to be on side with these benchmarks as well. This concludes my review of the financial statements and our audit. Thank you for your time.
Aaron, GHA have completed the audit for 2021, 2022, and 2023 now. Is that correct?
That is correct.
The former mayor and some former members of council have continually stated that the city was broke. At any time during that period, was the city broke?
No.
We had sufficient funds in the bank at all times to carry on operations.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
And I want to thank you for all your work on the financial records for the city. You do an outstanding job with little recognition, and thank you for that very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Sandy or Mr. Vincent, do you have any closing remarks on this?
Mr. Official Administrator, if I might direct this question either to Aaron or to Sandy or to both. We had a discussion yesterday with regards to restricted surpluses and how much money the city may have in cash in lieu restricted reserves. If you might be able, I know what the answer is, but I would, so if I might be so bold to suggest and have you confirm that we have approximately $374,000 in that cash in lieu reserve at the present time. So, sorry, I should have given you a heads up. Broke my number one rule, no surprises.
So the restricted surplus is detailed on Schedule 1 at $22.7 million. And it is also detailed in one of the notes. Note 15.
And would it give somebody reading the financial statement the insight into what is specifically held aside for cash in lieu of reserves when we take, instead of taking the 10% MR dedication, and we take cash in lieu?
Oh, are you referring to the prepaid development levies?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
My apologies for lack of clarity.
No, that's okay. So the prepaid development credits are 12.5 million. So that's shown in on the statement of financial position, or note 13.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
And just one further comment, not a question, Aaron.
Yeah.
On page 189, page 34 of your of the financial statements, in the last paragraph on that page, we refer to forensic auditor, and it was a financial inspection that was ordered by the minister. If we could please have that amended. Mr. Vincent will talk to you about that.
Actually, we've already done, Sandy emailed us this morning, and we are able to get the revised
Thank you very much.
wording within our final
No
package.
further questions? Sandy, do you have anything further to add?
I just wanted to extend a professional thank you to Ms. Gregory for the exceptional job her and her team have done in auditing our financial statements. It gives us great stability and transparent reporting for the public for the year 2023. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If we could have the motion, please. I'll move that the official administrator accept the City of Chestermere 2023 audited financial statements as information and approve the interim CAO and the Director of Corporate Services to sign the financial statements and other related documents. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And kudos to the city, Mr. Vincent. We're reporting on time to the provincial government. Thank you. We can proceed, Sandy, on FCSS report, please.
Good morning again, Official Administrator. I'm here to present the 2023 Annual FCSS Program Report. Motion that the official administrator accept the engagement review report for the annual FCSS program fiscal year ending December 23rd, 2023 as information and authorize the interim CAO and the Director of Corporate Services to sign the related documents. Gregory Harriman and Associates have completed the review of the annual FCSS program report for the 2023 fiscal year. Once accepted as information, the annual FCSS program report for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023 will be submitted to the funding authority for processing. Motion that the official administrator accept the engagement review report for the annual FCSS program fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023 as information and authorize the interim CAO and the Director of Corporate Services to sign the related documents.
I have no questions. Could we have the motion, please? Move that the official administrator accept the engagement review report for the annual FCSS program fiscal year ended December 31st, 23 as information and authorize the interim CAO and the Director of Corporate Services to sign the related documents. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And if we could have Q1 financial report, please, Sandy.
Yes, thank you. I'm here to present the Q1 2024 financial activities report for the City of Chestermere. Motion that the official administrator accept the Q1 2024 financial activities report for the first quarter of 2024 as information. On a quarterly basis, Corporate Services Finance will provide a report detailing the financial results of the City of Chestermere. Recommended options: that the official administrator accept the Q1 2024 financial activities report for the first quarter of 2024 as information. So I have a short presentation. I just wanted to point out, Mr. Official Administrator, that we presented Q1 report last month or earlier this month on April 9th. But the difference between the two reports is that this is a numbers report detailing revenues and expenses in our current financial position. Financial Picture 2024. The purpose of this report is to provide a clear financial picture of the first quarter performance in 2024. Staff is seeking a motion from the official administrator to accept this presentation as information. And this is the agenda for the items that I will be covering in this report. Highlights and remarks. Budget numbers were based on the interim budget approved in December 2023. Municipal and education tax calculations were based on projection estimates in the interim 2024 budget. Actual tax revenues and education tax requisitions will be updated in the final 2024 budget. Amortization expenses were calculated based on the interim 2024 budget. Expenses include transactions such as accrued payables, including RCMP contract and electricity and gas expenses. Highlights. Revenue exceeded budget due to a high volume of building and development permits issued. Overall total expenses were in line with the budget. Invoices for the first quarter are still being received. So this slide details summary revenues and expenses by department 2024 actual versus budget. I just wanted to point out here that 2024 year-to-date actual revenue less expenses for a total of $1.761 million. 2024 actual versus budget, $447,366. Summary of revenues by category, 2024 actual versus budget. This slide shows the different cost items for cost categories for the revenues. Revenues 2024 year-to-date budget to actual shows an increase of $1.314 million. Summary of revenues by category 2024 actual versus budget. Licenses and permits include business licenses, animal licenses, residential development permits, changes in use development permits, building permits, gas, plumbing, electrical, and HVAC permits. And sale of goods and user charges include franchise fees, fines, subdivision administration fees, certificates of compliance, subdivision requests, engineering inspections, boat launch fees, and other general miscellaneous revenue. Summary of expenses by category 2024 actual versus budget. I wanted to point out on this slide, 2024 year-to-date expenses, budget to actual for a total of 447,366. Summary of expenses by category 2024 actual versus budget. Other contracted and general services include licenses and permit expense, postage expense, subscription and management fees, census contracting services. Staffing expenses included travel and subsistence, employee recruiting costs, other allowances and benefits, mileage, moving expenses, training and development, and clothing and shoes PP&E. Transfers to organizations and individuals include contribution to the Chestermere Public Library, contribution to the Chestermere Recreation Center, payment to the Western Irrigation District, community service program support, including food bank, synergy, community grants to other organizations and individuals. I wanted to point out a few things on this slide. The summary revenue expenses by department 2024 versus 2023. 2023 year-to-date actual revenue versus expense, 1.934 million. 2024 year-to-date actual revenue versus expense, 1.761 million. 2024 versus 2023 actual increase of 2.614 in revenue. 2024 versus 2023 actual expense increase of 2.787 million. Summary of revenues by category 2024 versus 2023 comparison, showing an increase of 2.614 million. And summary of expenses by category 2024 versus 23 comparison, an increase of 2.787 million. We are seeking a motion from the official administrator to accept the 2024 Q1 financial report as information. And I can take any questions that you might have.
I have no questions. Could we have the motion, please?
Thank you.
Mr. Official Administrator, if I might be permitted just to add a few comments. I'd like to, first of all, share with the official administrator and their public gallery the two most important documents for a municipal organization are the strategic plan and your annual budget. And in reporting on the annual budget, I think you will agree the City of Chestermere has raised its level to the gold standard in municipal organizational excellence with the report that you've just received. This is what council should expect and will be delivered on a quarterly basis and going forward. I'm extremely proud of our staff, Sandy, Anne, and all the staff who have worked so diligently to prepare such a complete, detailed, and comprehensive fiscal quarterly report that very clearly indicates the city is being well run and well managed. I thank my staff very sincerely. Thank you, Mr. Official Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Vinson. Comments are well deserved. I'll move that the official administrator accept the Q1 2024 financial activities report for the first quarter of 2024 as information. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to the bylaws. Bylaw 8.1. Madeline, do you have anything further to add to this?
So prior to the second or third reading, administration can repeat the presentation that was given prior to the public hearing if you would like. Otherwise, administration has no further comments other than our recommendation for both options to accept the offsite levy bylaw 009-24 as presented, or to accept it with the 50% reduction on the increase on transportation. Both are technically sound, and however, our recommendation is for the motion to approve the 50% reduction on the increase of transportation, and this will encourage growth within the city of Chestermere. It will continue to support the positive relationship we have with the development community, and it will allow the developers and their experts time to work together to come up with some more cost-effective solutions.
Thank you. We don't need your presentation again.
Great, thanks.
Could we have the first motion, please? Move that the official administrator give second reading to bylaw 00924, being the off-site levy bylaw, as presented with Table B summary by development area shown in Schedule B, replaced with Table B, I think we should add, as amended. The end of it if we could. Thank you, Kallen. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Next motion, please. Move that the official administrator give third and final reading to bylaw 00924, being the off-site levy bylaw, as presented with Table B summary by development area shown in Schedule B of bylaw, be replaced with Table B as amended. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. And 8.2, Mr. Vincent, do you want a motion to postpone anything further on this, or?
No, I believe, Mr. Official Administrator, since public hearing was not held, that will not proceed with item 2B.
Thank you. So moving on to item 8.3. Jack, if you could, please.
Good morning, Official Administrator. My name is Jack Shipton, Planner 1 with Community Growth and Infrastructure. Today I'll be presenting a request for decision on Bylaw 013-24. This file proposes amendments to the Land Use Bylaw 022-10 as amended in the Waterford Estates Outline Plan area. Administration is recommending the following motions. First, that motion that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw number 013-24, being amendments to the Land Use Bylaw 022-10, as amended and as shown on Schedule A of this bylaw. And second, a motion that the official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for bylaw 013-24 for May 28th, 2024. Before we get too far, it should be noted that this bylaw 013-24 and the next bylaw 014-24, which will be presented later on the council agenda, are focused on the same issue, correcting alignment between the outline plans through the proposed land use amendments. A redlined version of the Waterford Estates outline plan has been included as attachment A to this report. Please note that the proposed land use changes align with the proposed Waterford Estates Outline Plan amendments as presented within this report. The Outline Plan amendments will be brought to Council under separate cover in conjunction with the public hearing and second/third reading of Bylaw number 017-24, Chestermere Outline Plan repealing bylaw. Assuming the outline plan is repealed, the amended outline plan as presented within this report will be brought back to council for approval by resolution. This will be on the same council agenda as this land use bylaw amendment. Therefore, bylaw 013-24 is only the land use bylaw amendment. The outline plan amendments are described in this report as information to support the land use bylaw amendments. A bit of background here. The Waterford Estates Outline Plan was approved September 2018. Following the completion of Phase 1 of this development, Lee Mahar took over engineering in subsequent phases. During this time, it was discovered that the location of Phase 1 was shifted approximately 13 meters west as compared to the original outline plan. This shift affects future Waterford Estate phases as well as the Waterford Stage 1 outline plan. A combined site plan highlighting the proposed shifts and how they interlinked has been provided as attachment B. This application proposes amendments intending to rectify these discrepancies between the completed Phase 1 and the surrounding future phases throughout Waterford Estates outline plan, as well as the Waterford Stage 1 outline plan. The requested land use amendments include the following changes: shifting lot lines, the addition of a 7-meter lane, road name changes, reconfiguration of 2 non-credit MR parcels, updated area calculations, unit per area updates, and underground main updates. Due to the nature of the outline plan amendments, land use will be impacted, and therefore the land use bylaw needs to be amended accordingly. The proposed land use amendments are highlighted in Schedule A and form the amendments presented in this bylaw. This file has been circulated both internally and externally, and key comments on this file have been received by the City of Calgary and Rocky View County. Their responses have been added to this report as Attachment C. It should be noted here that the outline plan is located in Joint Planning Area 2, a key growth area as identified by the Calgary Metropolitan Regional Board. Engineering has reviewed this file. They've noted that the original outline plan was approved in 2022, and since building and infrastructure have been constructed along Range Road 284 in Chelsea Phase 6, the City of Chestermere engineering team is working with the City of Calgary under the IDP as a functional plan for Range Road 284 will be undertaken in the near future. Administration does not see significant risk in approving these amendments. Do you have any questions today?
One question, Jack. You will be taking into consideration City of Calgary comments and Rocky View County comments prior
Yes.
to finalization? Thank you.
Yes, we will.
Thank you. I have no further questions. We can proceed with the motions, please. I'll move that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw 01324 being amendments to the land use bylaw 00210 as amended as shown on Schedule A of bylaw 01324. So moved. All in favor? Carried. I'll move that the official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for bylaw 01324 for May 28th, 2024. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And with that, we'll proceed on to Waterford Stage 1 Land Use Amendment. Carry on, please, Jack.
For sure. So now I'll be presenting a request for decision on bylaw 014-24. This file proposes amendments to the land use bylaw 022-10 as amended in the Waterford Stage 1 outline plan area. Administration is recommending the following motions. First, motion that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw 014-24, being amendments to the land use bylaw 022-10 as amended and as shown on Schedule A of bylaw 014-24. And second, a motion that the official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for bylaw 014-24 for May 28th, 2024. This is the second bylaw. It should be noted that this bylaw 014-24 and bylaw 013-24, which was just presented, are focused on the same issue, correcting alignment between outline plans through the proposed land use amendments. A redlined version of the Waterford Stage 1 outline plan has been included as attachment A to this report. Please note that, and exactly the same as the previous item, that this proposed land use change aligns with the proposed Waterford Stage 1 outline plan amendment as presented within this report. The outline plan amendments will be brought to council under separate cover in conjunction with the public hearing and second and third reading of bylaw 017-24, this being the Chestermere outline plan repealing bylaw. Assuming the outline plan is repealed, the amended outline plan as presented within this report will be brought back to council for approval by resolution. This will be on the same council agenda as this land use bylaw amendment. Therefore, bylaw 014-24 is only the land use bylaw amendment. The outline plan amendments are described in this report as information to support the land use bylaw amendments. A bit of background on this bylaw. Waterford Stage 1 outline plan was approved March 2018 Following the completion of Phase 1 of Waterford Estates, Lee Mahar took over engineering in subsequent phases. During this time, it was discovered that the location of Phase 1 was shifted 13 meters. During this, one second. Yeah, so during this time, it was discovered the shifts as compared to the original outline plan. This shift affects future Waterford Estate phases as well as Waterford Stage 1 outline plan. The combined site plan highlighting the proposed shifts and how they interlinked has been provided as attachment B. This application proposes amendments to rectify these discrepancies between completed Phase 1 and the surrounding future phases of Waterford Estates outline plan as well as Waterford Stage 1 outline plan. The requested land use amendments include the following changes: shifting of lot lines. Oh, 1 second here. No, that's correct. So the shifting of lot lines, the addition of the 7-meter lane, road name changes, reconfiguration of 2 MR parcels, updated area calculations, unit per acre updates, and underground main updates. Due to the nature of the outline plan amendments, land use will be impacted, and therefore the land use bylaw needs to be amended accordingly. The proposed land use amendments are highlighted in Schedule A and form the amendments presented in 014-24. This file has been circulated both internally and externally, and key comments on this file have been received by the City of Calgary and Rocky View County, and their responses have been added to this report as Attachment C. Again, it should be noted that this outline plan is located in Joint Planning Area 2. Key growth area is identified by the Calgary Metropolitan Regional Board. Engineering has reviewed this file. They have noted that the original line plan was approved in 2022, and since building and infrastructure have been constructed along Range Road 284, the City of Chestermere engineering team will be working with the City of Calgary under the IDP, and a functional plan for Range Road 284 will be undertaken in the near future. Administration does not see significant risk in approving these amendments. Do you have any questions on this file?
I have no questions. Could we have the motion, please? I'll move that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw 01424 be an amendments to the land use bylaw 00210 as amended and as shown on Schedule A of bylaw 01424. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. If we could have the next motion, please. Move that the official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for bylaw 01424 for May 28th, 2024. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And I believe you have one more, Jack.
Yeah, just one more and you can get rid of me. And this one's different, so maybe a bit more exciting. So this is a request for decision on bylaw 015-24. This file proposes amendments to the land use bylaw in the Chelsea outline plan area. I would like to note that the applicant is with us today should you require clarification on any aspects of this file. Administration is recommending the following motions. First, a motion that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw 015-24, being amendments to the land use bylaw 022-10 as amended and as shown on Schedule A of bylaw 015-24. And second, a motion that the official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for bylaw 015-24 for May 28th, 2024. Onto the file itself. The proposed land use amendments presented today are focused on site design improvements, providing additional housing products, and addressing current planning policy and market preferences in the Chelsea outline plan area. This plan was approved in 2017. The portion of the plan area representing the subject lands are generally described as Southwest 9-24-28 west of the 4th meridian, and represents the southern half of the community of Chelsea. The subject lands are 65 acres in total area, representing the remaining developable area of the Chelsea community. These lands have yet to be subdivided. A redlined version of the Chelsea outline plan has been included as attachment A to this report. Please note that the proposed land use changes align with the proposed Chelsea outline plan amendment as presented within this report. As a point of clarity, the proposed outline plan amendments will be brought to council under separate cover in conjunction with the public hearing and second and third reading of bylaw number 017-24, the Chestermere Outline Plan repealing bylaw. Assuming the outline plan is repealed and the amended outline plan as presented within this report will be brought back to council for approval by resolution. This will be on the same council agenda as this land use bylaw amendment. Therefore, bylaw 015-24 is for the land use bylaw only. The outline plan amendments are described in this report as information to support the land use bylaw amendment. It should be noted that bylaw number 003-24, which came into effect on February 13th, 2024, is an amendment that revised the 35% cap on planned lot development from the Municipal Development Plan section 3.4.4 to 50%. The proposed amendments for this bylaw are as follows. We have road network changes. These include modifications intended to reduce interruptions, cul-de-sacs, and to regularize block patterns to facilitate direct connections in the community, as well as provisions of additional lanes resulting from the addition of residential planned lot rear lane district coming into the outline plan area. We also have neighborhood node changes. We'll be seeing modification to the outline plan neighborhood node, specifically its eastern area, to include a consolidated direct control mixed use district. More on these changes shortly. We'll also be seeing a ephemeral drainage corridor realignment. The realignment of the existing ephemeral drainage corridor is required in order to regularize block patterns. There has been a technical memo speaking to this, which clears it. The applicant is also proposing southern lane correction. The outline plan incorporates a north-south lane that was originally intended to continue through the Alta Link transmission power line right-of-way in order to connect future communities to the south. In its current state, this is not possible, and it would directly intersect with the power line. This amendment proposes a redesign to correct that issue. They also propose municipal reserve consolidation, this being reconfiguration and consolidation of portions of MR in two areas of the plan. And this is proposed to facilitate a more even spatial distribution. The required 10% municipal reserve dedication is still maintained here. They are also proposing a western boundary adjustment. This is a minor adjustment which has been made to the western boundary of the plan area along Range Road 284 to respond to a right-of-way obligation per the Calgary-Chestermere Interface Intermunicipal Development Plan. The realignment will result in an expansion of environmental reserve and residential single detached lands to the west of the plan area. They're also proposing abandoned wellhead readjustment. So an abandoned wellhead is located in the eastern portion of the plan area. This is south of the neighborhood node, and it was originally approximated. Currently, it is located within a walkway corridor. Through survey, the correct precise location has been identified, and non-credit municipal reserve has been repositioned and increased to provide more appropriate spacing for the 5-meter setback radius surrounding the well. And the final changes, these are the direct land use changes the applicant proposes. We have single detached, we have residential single detached district to residential planned lot rear lane district, as well as the residential planned lot front drive district. This is various throughout the site. We also have residential single detached district to the residential semi-detached district, R2, along Range Road 284. We have the residential planned lot rear lane to the residential semi-detached district, R2, along the central roadway area. And then we have the commercial district to the residential multi-unit district, R3, within the neighborhood node, as well as the commercial district and live work district, as well as the R3 residential multi-unit district to a direct control mixed use district, DCMU, within the neighborhood node. Due to the proposed outline plan amendments, land use will be impacted, and therefore land use bylaw needs to be amended accordingly. The proposed land use amendments, as just described, are highlighted in Schedule A and form the amendments presented in this bylaw. As part of this bylaw, the applicant is increasing the allocation of planned lot developments in accordance with Bylaw 003-24, which came into effect on February 13th, 2024. This bylaw amended section 3.4.4.4 of the MDP to revise the 35% cap on planned lot development within single-family housing with an outline plan to 50%. Historically, the city calculates this percentage of planned lots by tallying the total single detached dwellings within an outline plan and determining the amount of percentage of planned lots within that count. Using this criteria, the applicant's proposed amendments would put them over the 50% threshold. However, the applicant has identified that MDP section 3.4.4.4 lacks clarity on how to calculate the planned lot cap, given it refers to single-family housing as opposed to single detached dwelling, as defined in the land use bylaw. Accordingly, the applicant is proposing an update to the planned lot cap calculation methodology to collectively include single detached R1, semi-detached R2, and town row homes R3 within the single-family definition. Now, administration acknowledges the MDP does not define single-family housing, and therefore the applicant's interpretation is valid. Furthermore, it is anticipated that the upcoming municipal development plan rewrite must provide clarity on this topic. In the absence of clarity in wording, administration supports the interpretation. The outline plan is located in Joint Planning Area 2. This is a key growth area as identified by the CMRB. The original outline plan was approved in 2017, and since building and infrastructure have been constructed along Range Road 284, the City of Calgary has identified some concerns with the interface of Range Road 284, and therefore the City of Chestermere is working with the City of Calgary under the IDP, and a functional plan for Range Road 284 will be undertaken in the near future. The City of Calgary has submitted comments on this file, received April 19th, and our team will be working towards addressing them prior to the proposed public hearing. Administration sees low risk in approving these amendments. Did you have any questions on this file today?
I have no questions, and it's not appropriate for the applicant to speak to this at this time. Could we have the motion, please? Move that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw 01524, be amendments to the land use bylaw 02210 as amended as shown on Schedule A of bylaw number 01524. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Mitch, 8.6 Rainbow Road, please.
Mr. Official Administrator, I believe there's a second resolution.
Oh, my apology. Yes. Move that the official administrator approve the scheduling of public hearing for bylaw 01524 for May 28th, 2024. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Sorry, Mitch. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Official Administrator Lagore. If you'll indulge me for a minute, I just wanted to say great job to Jack. That was quite a marathon of presentations, and good work on those files to both he and Jeevan. I know those were complex amendments with quite a bit of variables. So thank you. I am here before you today to present on proposed bylaw 01624, which is a amendment to the city's land use bylaw 2210 as amended. The motions that I will be recommending today are that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw 1624, being amendments to the land use bylaw 2210 as amended, and as shown on Schedule A of bylaw 1624, and that the official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for bylaw 1624 for May 28th, 2024. So, to provide the background on this file, the city has received an application proposing an amendment to the land use bylaw. This amendment pertains to the property located at 240187 Rainbow Road. The applicant is seeking to redesignate this parcel, which is approximately 1.4 acres in size, from its current zoning of urban transition district to the low-rise multi-unit residential R4 district. The site is located in the southwest of the city. Surrounding land uses include commercial and residential single detached districts to the north, direct control multi-residential R3 to the east, urban transition and ER lands to the south, the ER lands being adjacent to the Wood Canal located to the south, and residential R3 and some direct control to the west. A government road allowance for Range Road 283, which is undeveloped, abuts the west side of the property, while Rainbow Road abuts its east boundary. So this site falls within the Edgewater Crossing Area Structure Plan, which was approved in 2013. And within that plan, the area is shown on the land use plan figure 5 as high density residential. So this is defined within the ASP as 3-story apartment style development. And this is in line with the proposed change in land use to R3. And because it is detailed this way in the ASP, there's no requirement for amendment to that document. So this application is being circulated at present. That began on the 13th of April and will conclude on the 13th of May. It is a concurrent internal and external circulation, and as of today, there have been no objections provided from any external agencies. In terms of implications relating to approval of this amendment, with respect to financial, we do not see any. In terms of service, the amendment would allow for increased residential density in the area. This increase would be based on the allowable uses in the R3 district. Sorry, I think that there is a discrepancy in what is written in the report versus what we're referring to in terms of the land use amendment. It should be for the R4 district. It's incorrectly labeled as R3 in some segments of this report. So we'll just have to make note of that at the time of the motions. Back to implications. Social. Adding housing diversity can foster inclusive communities accommodating various socioeconomic backgrounds and family sizes. Environmental. No significant environmental impacts are anticipated as the site is currently developed. Future development will be required to meet engineering requirements and all other regulations per the city, including any regulations relating to the adjacent ER lands. Economic implications. The amendment would see additional residential housing options integrated into the city, which may be an affordable option for residents. And regional. This part of Chestermere is within the Joint Planning Area 2 as defined by the CMRB and is a key growth area. Ensuring alignment with adjacent communities here will be an important consideration as the site is developed in the future. In terms of risk, administration does not see any significant risk associated with approving the bylaw amendment. We have reviewed the application against the regional growth plan, as well as the city's statutory planning framework, the MDP, the Edgewater Crossing ASP, and the land use bylaw. And the proposed amendment aligns with the policies there in those documents. In terms of previous reports, on the 13th of February, the official administrator accepted a report for information, and this was motion number 240213-33, and that pertained to the same location that we are discussing today. So, in terms of the motions that that I am recommending today, the first being that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw 1624, being amendments to the land use bylaw 22-10 as amended, as shown on Schedule A of Bylaw 1624. And that the official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for Bylaw 1624 for May 28th, 2024.
I'll move that the official administrator give first reading to bylaw 01624, being amendments to land use bylaw 02210 as amended as shown on Schedule A of bylaw 016-24. So moved. All in favor? Carried. I'll move that the official administrator approve the scheduling of a public hearing for bylaw 01624 for May 28th, 2024. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you.
Kallen, if you could, please.
Good morning. Today, I'm bringing forward, our administration is bringing forward Bylaw 017-24, being the Chestermere Outline Plan, repealing bylaw. Administration is looking for the following, recommending the following motions. Motion that the official administrator give first reading to Bylaw 017-24, being the Chestermere Outline Plan, repealing bylaw. Motion that the official administrator schedule a special meeting of council for May 14th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Motion that the official administrator schedule a public hearing for May 14th, 2024, for the May 14th, 2024 special meeting of council. Administration is bringing forward Bylaw 017-24, being the Chestermere Outline Plan, repealing bylaw to repealing the following bylaws that are on screen right now. There's 12 of them in total. This is the first step in changing the process in which the City of Chestermere implements outline plans. While most municipalities typically adopt outline plans via a resolution of council, the City of Chestermere adopts outline plans by amending the city's land use bylaw. Bylaw 022-10. Part 17, Division 4 of the Municipal Government Act identifies the following plans as statutory plans: intermunicipal development plans, municipal development plans, area structure plans, and area redevelopment plans. Notably missing are outline plans. The city's current method for adopting outline plans is not consistent with the Municipal Government Act, as outline plans have never been identified nor considered as statutory in nature. Furthermore, this process is time-consuming and has resulted in unnecessary frustration and delays for both the developer community and administration. Should these bylaws be repealed, administration will bring forward recommended motions to approve each outline plan by council resolution. This will occur at the same meeting as the third reading is heard, which is also the May 14th special meeting of council. Moving forward with new outline plan applications and/or applications to amend existing outline plans, administration will prepare a council reports to council, providing an overview of the application and recommendation for approval or refusal. Such approval or refusal will be the responsibility of council, and council may direct the applicant administration to make changes prior to the approval by resolution. Section 191.2 of the Municipal Government Act states that the bylaw must be repealed in the same way as the original bylaw and is subject to the same consents or conditions or advertising requirements that apply to the passing of the original bylaw. Therefore, the city must hold the public hearing and hear each individual item being repealed. In the interest of conciseness, administration is recommending a special meeting of council to host the public hearing. The implications for this will have to be that the city administration will have to call a special meeting of council and advertise for a public hearing to properly implement Bylaw 017-24. And just to repeat the motions that administration is seeking today. Motion that council give first reading to Bylaw 017-24, being the Chestermere Outline Plan, repealing bylaw. Motion that council schedule a special meeting of council for May 14th, 2024 at 11 a.m. And motion that council schedule a public hearing for May 14th at the special meeting of council. Thank you.
Could we have the first motion, please? Move that the official administrator approve or give first reading to Bylaw 01724, being the Chestermere Outland Plan repealing bylaw. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Move that the official administrator schedule a special meeting of council for May 14th at 11 a.m. So moved. All in favor? Carried. And move that the official administrator schedule a public hearing for May 14th, 2024, special council meeting. And do you want to add in there for the bylaw 01624? Probably should be, I think. Kallen. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Sandy, if you're back up, please.
Mr. Official Administrator, just a note here. We had added this item as item 10.2 at the agenda, not realizing it was 9.1. So when we get to that point in the agenda, we will not be dealing with 10.2.
Okay, so it's one and the same. Thank you.
Hello again, Mr. Official Administrator. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge in the gallery we have representatives from Synergy. So I just wanted to extend a warm welcome to them all. So I'm here to present the Center for Community Leadership Lease Renewal, dated Tuesday, April 23rd, 2024. Council recommendations that the official administrator accepts the Center for Community Leadership Lease Renewal as information. Background: the Synergy Youth and Community Development Society program began as a program for the City of Chestermere in 2013 and was incorporated as a charity on January 1st, 2018. During that 5-year period, the City and Synergy established a partnership that worked to provide much-needed and attainable operating space for Chestermere's not-for-profits. In February 2017, the space was opened and managed by Synergy on behalf of the owner, the City of Chestermere. To date, Synergy has contributed $530,886.44, and the city has contributed $358,510 towards the building and surrounding park. Synergy lovingly cares for the center as if it were their home and shares it with other NFPs. Currently, the monthly tenants include Chestermere Women's Crisis Society and the Hockey Marathon. Additionally, there were many other NFPs who operate in the center on an hourly, daily, and weekly basis. Affordable rental spaces for NFPs remain almost non-existent in Chestermere, and the demand is consistently growing, making the center increasingly vital to our community. Synergy provides discreet, accessible, and barrier-free access to much-needed counseling services for the community. Grant funding is a fundamental part of how additional services are being provided to the community that applies beyond our foundational mandates such as the rural mental health, restorative justice, and other community initiatives. Synergy supports community schools in addition to other individuals, youth, and adults who can reach their volunteer and community hours in partnership with probation services through Synergy. Implications: if the City of Chestermere and Synergy can agree to a multi-year lease and operating agreement that recognizes Synergy's contributions, then monthly subleases with at least 2 NFPs and 25 to 30 hourly, daily, and weekly subleases can be maintained annually. A renewed naming rights agreement will be signed, and along with our sector partners, Synergy will work towards attaining additional NFP operating space in Chestermere. Please note that the land that the center currently occupies is averse to a traditional structural build, given the sizable utility right-of-way running underneath the building. Additional modular builds may be preferable. Risk: if either party does not agree to renew the lease, Synergy and many other NFPs will lose the space to operate, thus leaving the taxpayers and community members without the crucial support for social, emotional, mental, and basic needs. Recommended previous report, see 2015, 16, 17, and 18, and recommended options that the official administrator accept the Center for Community Leadership lease renewal as information. Thank you.
Could we have the motion, please? Move that the official administrator accept the Center for Community Leadership lease renewal as information. And I think we should add to it, Kallen, and further that the lease be approved as presented.
Thank you.
So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you for all the work you do for the community. Katie, please, land exchange.
Good morning. My name is Katie, and I'm a paralegal for the city. This presentation is a request for decision to authorize administration to negotiate and enter into a land exchange agreement with Chestermere Real Estate Ltd., who I will refer to as the McKays. The reason for this proposed land exchange agreement is that the city requires an 8-meter wide strip of land along the east side of the McKays property for a road allowance along Rainbow Road, and a small portion of land at the north end of their property for future construction of a traffic circle. The total area of land that the city requires is approximately 0.31 acres. The city will also require an easement to be registered on the McKays' lands for backsloping purposes. In exchange for these portions of the McKays' property and registration of the easement, the city will give the McKays the Range Road 283 road allowance, which runs adjacent to the west edge of their property. The total area of this road allowance is approximately 0.74 acres. The financial implications of this proposed land exchange will include the costs of surveying, legal review, and relocation of a septic field. Administration acknowledges that the land exchange is not equal from an acreage perspective. The city will be acquiring approximately 0.31 acres in exchange for giving up approximately 0.74 acres. However, the lands required by the city for the road widening and easements have a non-monetary value that exceeds the monetary value associated with providing the McKays additional acreage. While this does have an element of risk, administration recommends that the benefits of negotiating and entering into a land exchange agreement with the McKays for its intended purposes outweigh the potential risks. The related policies, bylaws, and legislation include the Municipal Government Act, the Municipal Development Plan, the Land Use Bylaw, and Road Closure Bylaw 006-24. So again, the motion that we are looking for today is to authorize administration to negotiate and execute a land exchange agreement with Chestermere Real Estate Ltd. Do you have any questions?
No questions. Could we have the motion, please? Move that the official administrator authorized to negotiate and execute a land exchange agreement with Chestermere Real Estate Limited, the McKays. So moved. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
And Liz, if you could speak to the school site, please.
Good morning. It has been my pleasure to get to watch the planning team shine today. And so I'm just here for a quick wrap up that we have been meeting with the Rocky View schools multiple times as of late, and we actually have a meeting with them again this afternoon, in which we are working with them to move forward with the high school and the other school sites in the community as well. We are in the process of initiating discussions with the landowners and the development industry to resolve the matter in an expedited time frame. This is specifically to the high school site. The intentions of these discussions is to explore viable options for acquiring the lands in a responsible manner for the existing and future residents of the city of Chestermere. As a high priority item, these discussions are anticipated to occur within the month of April, and a report will come back to council in May of 2024. There are potential implications, particularly financial, that acquiring the required lands for the high school site may have financial implications, which will be identified through the negotiation process. Should there be any costs to the city, council will be required to approve the budget. And then from a social perspective, the implications as well are that we require a high school. I don't think there's any debate on that from anyone in the community. And we need to be able to provide that education to that age group. And ultimately, we do not see any risks associated with accepting this report as information, and we recommend that you accept it as information.
Could we have the motion, please?
Mr. Official Administrator, if I may just add one comment. Among the many priorities this administration faces, this particular matter is one of the top 3 priorities, and it's being dealt with in that particular fashion. And I appreciate the cooperation we've received from the Rocky View School Board and administration and working closely with us. and we are looking to resolve this very quickly. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vinson. Move that the official administrator accept the update as information. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. With that, I'll move that the official administrator adjourn the meeting at 10:41 a.m. So moved. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance.